Hello. Welcome back to Life After Plus One. I'm Leanne, your podcast host, your single parent coach and mentor. And before I dive into today's episode, just want to remind you all, we do have that ebook up and running on the website, which is your single parent's guide to dating. And I've also got the second one up and running, which is your single parent's guide to your single parent journey, which is navigating all different areas of your single parent life, especially when you're just diving into the single parent journey for the first time. It covers all aspects from co-parenting to loneliness and just to handling all the new changes that come from being a single parent. So those two ebooks are available now on the website. So jump on and grab those. Welcome to the Life After Plus One podcast, where we turn life's lemons into delightful lemonade. Get ready for inspiring stories, uplifting conversations, and all the tips and tricks to rock your single parent journey with style. I'm your host, Leanne, and it's time to embrace the adventure of Life After Plus One. So let's dive in. Okay, so let's dive into today's episode, which is talking to your kids about the breakup. What do you say to them? How do you say it? When do you say it? Should you say anything at all? So many questions. And let's be honest, you're at a place in your life where you've got so many questions about what's going on. You probably don't even have the answers to many of those questions that the kids are going to ask you. So what do you say and how do you manage this? Let's dive in and talk about how to talk to your kids about the breakup. Now, straight off the bat, I'm going to say yes. You definitely do need to talk to your kids about this. Kids experience emotions in so many different ways. And when they're in a household, when all of a sudden one parent is not there, whether it's mum or dad, and the kids have maybe moved to a different house, or one of the parents, I should say, has moved to the other house, the kids are confused. What's going on? What's happened? Why has dad left me? Why has mum left me? Do they not love me anymore? What's going on? And that's how kids think. You may have had the worst relationship ever with your ex, and that's why they've left. And you've got no thoughts in the world about thinking that your kids aren't loved. You're just thinking they're gone, you're happy. But in the kids' eyes, that parent's gone. They've just left. And they're like, what's happened? Did they not love me? So it is very important to explain this process to the kids, because they handle it and they understand it and they process it in such different ways. And they experience similar feelings to what we do. And we as adults need to handle these emotions and talk about it with our friends and discuss it. And so do kids. And a lot of people forget that. Kids have all these different feelings and emotions going on. It's not fair to expect them just to bottle these feelings up because you don't know how to speak to them about it. You don't know what to say. So what do you say in this situation when you've just broken up with your ex? How do you tell the kids? The best thing you can possibly do in this situation is, if you're pretty amicable with your ex, or even if you're not, but you're both focused on doing what's right for the kids so they're not left feeling emotional and lost and confused, is to tell the kids when both of you are present and explain it to them so you're both on the same page, you both know where you're at, and the kids are getting the same information from both of you. Because there's nothing worse than mum saying one story to the kids and then dad saying something very different, and the kids are like, well, what's going on? That's not what mum said. You don't want that. That's going to confuse the kids. Be on the same page with your story, and you don't have to go into every minor detail of what happened. Keep it age appropriate. And keep it simple. But most importantly, be honest. And being honest isn't going into every minor detail. It's honest about the situation. So it's very important to put in your explanation that the kids are not a reason for the breakup. You need to reinforce that mummy and daddy are going our separate ways because we have decided that we are better at being apart than we are together. But we still love you the same way. Nothing has changed in how we feel about you, how much we love you. Things are going to be a little different around here, and that's because we just feel that mummy and daddy get along much better when we're not living together in the same house. And it's very important to not play victim or villain. Don't start playing the poor me card. Oh, this happened, mum did this, dad did this. Or don't start playing the villain card and making out the other parent to be the really bad person where you're trying to turn your kids against that parent. Remember to always keep it neutral. There's no need to throw the other parent under the bus. Things may not have worked out with you, but that's not the kid's fault, and you don't need to bring the kids involved in that. You don't need to go into further explanation as to what they've done or what you've done. That's not necessary, and that's not age appropriate. It's also important to remember to not drag that process out as long as possible, meaning the other parent's gone and the kids are sitting around thinking, what's happening, not knowing where the other parent is, because you're delaying the process of telling them. Don't drag that out, because that's only going to create more confusion for the kids. Let them know as soon as possible what's happening. And if you can tell them before the other parent has moved out, then that's even better. Let them know when it's happening so they know what to expect. Let them know where the other parent is going. Let them know when they'll be going there to see the other parent. Keep the kids in the loop as much as possible, but in that age-appropriate way. And remember, when you do decide to sit down and talk to the kids, ask them if they have questions, because there's a good chance that they will. They could have a whole range of questions. Kids come up with the funniest things sometimes. So be prepared for questions, and also ask them if they have questions. And if they don't, because they might still be processing it, they might still be getting their head around what's just happened. So remind them, if they have questions later down the track or throughout the process of the breakup, that they can come to you or to the other parent at any time and ask any questions. Don't put them in a position where they feel like they have to bottle up what's going on. Just remind them that you're there if need be. If they're confused or unsure of anything that's happening, then they can come back and talk to you at any time. And it's also very important to be very patient and understanding throughout this process with your kids. And I understand this is going to be very difficult because you're going through a lot yourself. You're going through the breakup. So you're going through your breakup and dealing with your whole situation and your life changing and managing to be a single parent all on your own. But it's also a lot for the kids to take on. So not only are you having to manage yourself and your emotions and what's going on in your world, you've also got to manage your kids. It's a lot. And there's a very good chance they may start to display behaviors. They might start being a bit clingy, or they may even start ignoring themselves. And that's going to happen. Change is a big thing for kids, and it can be quite distressing for them. And it's big for us as adults too. So just as we need to learn to handle our emotions, the kids need to know how to handle them as well. So they will experience mood changes and they will experience different behaviors because they're adjusting to it. They're processing it all. And this is why it's so important in this stage to be as neutral or as amicable as possible with your ex and with your co-parent, because the healthier it is in the breakup and the whole transition phase of moving out to be a single parent on your own, the better it is for them, because they're experiencing a lot. Mum's gone or dad's gone. They might be going to a new home. Certain things may have to change, whether it be after school activities. They may even have to change school. Who knows? It's a lot for them. Your breakup is a lot for you. It's also a lot for your kids. Don't forget that. So when they start misbehaving or they start being silly, it's not the kids just being naughty or they're being little shits to piss you off. It's quite often they've got a lot of feelings and emotions going on that they just don't know how to handle, and they don't know how to control it. They're confused. And sometimes they display that confusion in behaviors. That's their way of letting their emotions out and their frustration, or they might be angry or whatever it is. They're letting those feelings out. Don't let the child see that you're frustrated with them expressing their feelings or emotions. Let them express themselves. Let them get it out, because the more you get frustrated with them, the more they're not going to want to express anything, and they're just going to end up bottling everything up. And you don't want that. You want them to get it off their chest. You want them to talk about it. But if they are displaying behaviors, then we need to find new ways to help them manage those emotions. And that could be anything from you sitting down and talking to them, or finding a child psychologist or a counselor for them to sit down with that they can talk to, because they need to talk to people just like us. We go talk to our friends, or we might go talk to a counselor or psychologist or whoever else. Kids need someone to talk to. And if you're not in a headspace to do it with your own kids, or you don't think you can give them that right information, then find a good child psychologist or a counselor that can do that with them, that can help them get those feelings and emotions out instead of displaying them in behaviors that's going to come out in negative ways. So kids will grieve, kids will experience a sense of loss, they will get anger, they will get sad, they will get confused. Be understanding of their loss. Yes, you have a loss, but the kids do too, and don't forget that. So open the door for them to process their grief. Let them get through it as well. I remember when I was little and my parents separated. I think I might have been in kindergarten or year one. I was quite young. And for years, I looked at that situation like my dad left me. And he didn't. But my mum didn't explain that situation well to me. Well, actually, she didn't at all. And no disrespect to my mum. She just obviously handled it in the way that she thought was best at the time. And because I didn't know what was happening, I thought he left me. I didn't realize he left my mum. I didn't realize it was because of something that happened between them two, even though now I'm older, I know exactly what happened. But when you're a kid and you're not told of that situation, you hold resentment to that other parent that's gone because you think, well, they've just left me. They've just walked out of me. This is why it's so important to be clear with the kids about what's happening and as honest as possible. So it's extremely important to reiterate that the breakup is not a fault of theirs. That's very important. And another thing to start talking about with the kids is the fact that they will now have two homes. One home with mum, one home with dad. And they are both their homes and they're both places where they are to feel comfortable and welcomed. So this is where you can involve them in the decision making. Ask them what things they would like to have at mum's house or at dad's house. Give them some say in how they want their room decorated. Involve them in it because they're now having two separate homes that they've now got to live between, which is a big thing to take on. You may be staying in the same home and the kids are now having to go between two homes. So it's just as hard on them, this whole process. So give them some say in the matter when it comes to having things at each house or toys and how they want their room set up. Involve them as much as you can when it comes to having the two separate homes. It's also important to point out that they now have double the love. It's double the love. They're not getting less love because maybe one parent's moved out. They've just got double the love and they've got it between two homes. And another thing that kids love to hear, they get to celebrate double the Christmases and double the Easters and double the birthdays. They get to celebrate with mum and they get to celebrate with dad. Some families join those celebrations, which is great. But if you don't and you don't think that's something that you're going to plan on doing, then talk to them. That it's exciting that you're now going to have Christmas with mum and you're going to have Christmas with dad. You get two Christmases. You get two lots of presents and two lots of birthday presents and two lots of Easters and everything else. Kids love to hear that. When they hear, wow, extra presents, I'm on board for that. So try and keep it as positive as possible. And it may not be easy for you to do when you're in this headspace, you've just broken up, you're confused about a lot of things. But if you try and stay positive and on track to keeping it what's best for the kids, it'll help you a lot. If you stay in that negative spiral and you keep finding things to complain about, it's not going to help you when you're going through this big change yourself. So just remember to find the positives in the situation for the kids. Find what they can like about it. It's hard to do. You're in a very negative situation. There's a good chance you can spiral and go downhill because usually when you go through a breakup like this and you become a single parent for the first time, it is extremely challenging and it's very tough. So to be in a positive mind frame in this time is extremely difficult. But if you can do it for your kids, it will make that process so much easier for them and so much healthier. And it'll also make it easier and healthier for yourself. Another thing is consistency. Keep going with your routine. So don't change their after school activities. Let them know dad's going to pick you up here or mum's going to pick you up here. Keep their routines going. Don't start changing things and uprooting their whole routine and they're like, what's going on? I've just now had to move home or dad's just moved out or whatever else. Now I've got to stop doing football or I've got to stop doing tennis. Keep their routine going, keep that consistency going and keep that communication going with your ex so they know where you're at with the kids. And sometimes it's hard. I know when you're in that early stage of the breakup, you are just hating on each other. Last thing you want to do with your ex right now is talk to them nicely and be their friend. But try and remember, you're not there to be their friend. You're there to be a good support system for your kids. You're not being nice to them because they were just an arsehole to you. You're being nice to them. You're being the better person to them for the sake of your kids. And it'll work in your favor. I can guarantee you that. And just remember, throughout the process, keep those open lines of communication going, because it's not going to be one chat and the kids are good, they're done, they've got all the information they need. They're going to probably ask a lot of questions along the way. They're going to be confused. What's happening on my birthday? Is dad going to come for this? Or is mum coming to this? Or is dad picking me up for this? There's going to be a lot of questions. And that's only natural. Kids want to know what's happening. They want to know where they're going. They want to know where they stand. We as adults do the same thing. We want to know what's happening. If we're in a situation where our plans have just changed, we're like, what's going on? We want to know. We'll make phone calls. We'll call someone. We'll text someone. Hey, what's happening? You want to know what's happening. Same with the kids. Keep that open line of communication going, and don't get the shits with them if they ask 1,000,001 questions. They're going to want to know, and it's going to go over for a period of time until things are possibly settled a little bit. Let them ask questions. And if it does get too much, just bombarded you with 1,000,001 questions and you're just like, I can't take this anymore, then let them know. You're a real person with real feelings, and it's a lot for you as well. It's not just a lot for the kids, it's a lot for you. So if they're bombarding you with questions and you can't take it anymore, be open and honest with the kids. Hey kids, I want to help you out and I want to tell you as much as possible, but we're just going to have to put a pause on it for today. Mum just needs a break, and then let me come back tomorrow with a fresh headspace, and then we can talk about more things then. Maybe over breakfast or over dinner tomorrow, we can sit down and have a chat and we can continue this then. So don't let it get to the point where they've asked you so many questions and you end up flipping out at the kids, and then you're taking your frustration out on them. It's normal for them to ask questions. It's normal for them to be confused, and it's normal for them to want to know. And if you're the primary carer, you're probably going to be the one that's going to get swamped with these questions. So be prepared for that, but also be prepared to also say, okay, we've got to put this on hold for today, and then let's continue it tomorrow when mummy's had a bit of a break and I can get back in a fresh headspace and talk about it more then, because this is also a lot for mummy to handle. Mummy's also processing this. Mummy's going through a lot of changes, or daddy, whoever's in that situation. So we're all just working through this together. And that's okay. You don't have to lie about that, because that's exactly what's happening. You're just going through it and you're just working it out as you go. You don't need to lie to the kids. You don't need to pretend like something's happening that it's not, or mum's or dad's in a perfectly happy mood when you're not. You're allowed to be confused. You're allowed to be sad and pissed off and angry. But don't neglect your feelings throughout this. Don't neglect yourself. Don't pretend to be happy when you're really struggling emotionally and mentally. And sometimes you just need a break from talking about things. That's normal. It's normal. I do that now as a parent. I get asked these questions, right? Well, back off. Well, I don't say back off. But, let's just give it a break for today. And that's okay. We're all human. We're not freaking robots. So just remember, in this process, it's important to be understanding of the kids' feelings and emotions, but don't neglect yours in the process. You're important too. You need to look after yourself and your well-being. So yes, it's important to look after the kids and answer their questions and make sure they're happy and make sure they're understanding of what's going on. But you've also got to make sure you're happy and you're understanding of what's going on and you're in a good headspace. So it's okay to put a stop to things if you're getting swamped, or ask for a little break, or get the other parent to help out. Because you may not even have your co-parenting routine set up at this point. You may not even know when the kids are going to the other parent's place yet. You might not even have worked it out. But at this point, it's okay to just work it out between you. And if you think you can do that in the long run, then do it that way. If you don't need to go to court to work out when your kids are going to be at one parent's and the other parent's house, then do it between you. Don't let the court decide when you're going to have your kids and when the other parent's going to have them. I think that's a great way of doing it. But unfortunately, it doesn't always work out that way. Some people want them more, then some people just want to be greedy and nasty to the other parent. So court's a must. But if you can do it between yourselves, work it out between you. And if you need a break, get the other parent on board and get them to help out, because you're not a robot. You need to stop and you need to refill your cup. So just remember, when it's time to talk to the kids about the breakup, keep it honest. Don't lie. Don't give some fairy tale story. If you don't want to give the full story, don't. And you don't have to. Keep it as age appropriate as possible. And really, all you need to tell them is that Mummy and Daddy have chosen to go our separate ways and live in 2 separate houses because that's what works better for us. And we think that's what's going to be healthier for you as kids and for us as a family. You don't have to say what Mum did or what Dad did or what happened. It's not their business. They might find out eventually as they get older, but you don't need to disclose that. So keep it honest and keep it simple. Give a simplified version. And remember, don't play villain or victim. Don't point blame on the other parent. Don't play the poor me card. Oh, Mummy got hurt or Daddy got hurt. I can't believe they did this to me. They don't need to know that. That's not their business. All the kids need to know is what's happening and when and where they're going. And they just need to be reassured that Mum and Dad love them the same amount and no less. Their love for them has not changed in any way, and it's very, very important that you let them know about that. Remember to let them ask questions. Don't put the kids in a situation where you've just sat down, you've told them what's happening, and then it's like, right, that's it. That's what's happening. No more questions. I don't want to talk about this anymore. No, that's not how it works. You can't just dump all this emotional baggage on the kids, and the kids are like, oh, what's just happened? What's going on? Let them ask questions. They're going to be confused. It's like someone coming up to you and saying, I'm breaking up with you, I'm done. And then saying, nope, no questions. You can't ask any questions. I'm done talking about this. And they just leave you. That's the same kind of situation. You don't do that to your kids. You don't say, this is what's happening. Don't ask me any questions. I'm not talking about it. You need to let them ask questions. You need to let them express their feelings and emotions because they will have some. And they will probably experience some behaviors, and they will probably get quite clingy. They might get quite withdrawn. They will have a change in their behaviors, but it's very important to not get angry or frustrated when they start displaying these behaviors. You need to find ways for them to handle these emotions. And whether that's with you or with a child psychologist or a counselor, then whoever it is. But don't get angry at them because they're going to have a change in moods. Because they will. They'll be confused. They'll be sad. They've lost their family. They may have lost their home. A lot's changing in their world. Just like you, when you're going through the breakup, there's a good chance you're going to go through a period where you're quite sad, you're angry, you're hurt. You're probably going to have your periods where you cry and get really upset, and you're going to talk to your friends and you're going to get really angry. The kids are the same. They haven't lost their boyfriend or their wife or their girlfriend or their husband or whatever it is. They've lost their family, that whole family dynamic that they once knew. And as kids, that's a hard thing to process. So be as open and honest with them as possible. Keep it clear and keep it simple and age appropriate. And remember to remind them that if they have any other questions along the way that they're not sure about, that they can come to you or to the other parent at any time and ask those questions. Let them know that that's okay, so they don't bottle things up. Because when kids start to bottle things up, that's when they start to display behaviors. That's when they start to act up and misbehave because they're confused. They've got a lot of feelings and emotions going on that they don't know how to handle or express or deal with. Let them deal with it in their own time and be there to support them. And don't forget to support yourself. Don't forget to look after yourself in this process because it is a big deal. It's a big deal for the kids. It's also a big deal for you. So be kind to yourself and also be kind to your kids when they start misbehaving and acting up and getting silly. And don't forget, it's okay to ask for help. If you need help of your friends or of your parents or of your family, or if you just need a break, get the other co-parent on board and get them to help out. We need a break and we need to stop at some point. You can't just keep go, especially when you're going through this stage with so much going through your head. Breaking up from a marriage or from a co-parent, it's a lot. And that's why a lot of people stay in unhealthy relationships because it's a big thing to get out and leave and go out on your own and start your life from scratch again. It's a huge deal. There's so much involved, and not just physically, like with living situation and maybe your car, maybe your job, but also mentally and emotionally and financially. There is so much involved, not to mention dealing with your kids and letting them know and helping them out through the process. So not only are you mentally and emotionally drained, you've got to put on that positive, happy face for your kids to be that good support system for them. But it's okay to keep it real. It's okay to show them that you do get sad. Mum and dad do have feelings. It is a lot for you to take on. You don't want them to think that, it's just something easy, it's no big deal, we just change houses. It's okay for them to understand what mum and what dad are going through. And like I said, not every single minor detail of it, but it's okay for them to see that it is a lot for mum. It is a lot for dad. Whoa, she's going through a lot. Okay, so keep it real, keep it honest, but simple and age appropriate. And remember to keep those questions open and keep that line of communication open with the kids and look after yourself. All right, guys, that's about it from me today. So remember, when you're talking to your kids about the breakup, honesty, simple, to the point, and age appropriate. And let them ask questions and don't be angry when they start displaying behaviors. Help them out, support them, and let them express their feelings. All right, guys. It's a lot, isn't it? It's a lot. It's a lot to take on, especially a fucking breakup. Then to add to the mix, you've got to be that happy person for your kids. Don't forget to look after yourself. So that's it from me, guys. I hope you got something from this, and I really hope this helps in your journey of your process of becoming a single parent, and when it comes time for you to talk to the kids and how to manage that situation. If you have any other questions, all my contact details are in the show notes below, my email, my social media pages, my website. If you want to ask anything or if you have any feedback, shoot it through. And until then, I'll be in your ears then. Thank you for joining us on the Life After Plus One podcast. If you loved what you heard today and looking for some further support, then jump onto our website, lifeafterplusone.com. Plus, don't forget to check out our Instagram page for further resources and inspo. You can find all the links in the show notes. And remember, you're not alone on this path. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next episode. And in the meantime, keep thriving, keep growing, and keep exploring your amazing life after plus one.